Hi students, I hope you're doing well. This is our graphic organizer for investigation 2, which was all about finding the surface area volume if we had any type of prism. So how do I find surface area or volume for any prism? We're also going to talk about some things from investigation 1, where we looked at just rectangular prisms. So first of all, remember surface area is two-dimensional, because it's the area of the faces, and volume is three-dimensional, because it has to deal with the space inside. We're going to look at three different things. You don't have to use a ruler if you want, but I think it'll look nicer. So first we're going to start with just the basic definition, which hasn't really changed since we started talking about this in investigation 1. So definition, please write that down. Definition. So surface area is the area of all faces added together. Area of all faces added together. And that's why it's two-dimensional, because we're talking about areas, not side lengths, which would be one-dimensional. Volume is the amount of space inside a 3D figure. We're just going to write amount of space inside. Amount of space inside. We've also been talking about volume as the number of cubes that fit inside, like when we made our 24 cube rectangular prisms, and we talked about how the volume of all of those was 24 because we always used 24 cubes. So let's put the number of cubes that fit inside. So or number of cubes that fit inside. Number of cubes that fit inside. Alright, then I want to go back to investigation 1 and just point out what we did with rectangular prisms. So these are the kinds of things many students did when we were working in investigation 1. So I'm going to put rectangular. And these, for the most part, work only for rectangular prisms. Same ideas. Surface area and volume are the same thing for all types of prisms. But these are how we calculated it. And these calculations only work for rectangular. So some students use the smiley face method. I'm just going to write in smiley face method. That only works for rectangular prisms to find the surface area. Or some students use different ways of finding the faces and multiplying by 2. I'm going to try to simplify that with a formula. So surface area equals 2 times the length times the width plus 2 times the width times the height plus 2 times the length times the height. So that would be all 3 sets of faces, but then we have 2 of each. There are other ways you guys have been thinking about it too, but I just wanted to point those out, that we use those for rectangular prisms only. Then to figure out the volume of a rectangular prism, we did length times width times height. Well, length times width times height. Again, that only works for rectangular prisms. Then in investigation 2, we've been talking about regular prisms, or prisms that don't just have a base of a rectangle. So we looked at triangular prisms, like this one down here. That was rectangular. That one's a hexagonal prism, and this is an interesting type of pentagonal prism. So I'm just going to put regular prisms for now, or other types of prisms, really. So for surface area, when we have a regular prism, we looked at the sides, and we looked at the top and the bottom, and we knew we had to figure out the area of all of those. I think there's only one class that really thought they would just add all the faces together, and that would be the easiest way to figure out surface area. Most came up with another formula, which is what I'm going to write down. So that was the area of one side, or the rectangular part, times the number of sides, area of one side times the number of sides. So for the rectangular prism down here, or the triangular, excuse me, there's 1, 2, 3 rectangular faces. So you multiply by 3 sides and you find the area of each of those rectangles. Then we have to include the area of the top plus the area of the bottom. Area of top plus area of bottom. So some students just multiplied those by 2 because they know they're going to be the same with a prism. Alright, I'm going to label this the triangular prism so you can refer back to these words if you forget what we were talking about. So the top and bottom, we're talking about the triangle parts. Even though when we've laid it on this side, which we talked about, that's not really the top and the bottom. So then the sides are the rectangle part. Sides are the rectangles. Alright, hopefully you wrote that down. Then volume was a little bit simpler because we talked about how we could take the base and multiply it by the height of the prism. And that would work for any of our prisms. So the volume is the base times the height. Volume is base times height. That really connects to the rectangular too because the base of a rectangular prism is a rectangle. And we figure out the area of a rectangle with length times width. Then we multiply by the height to figure out how many stacks of those rectangles there are. Okay, this will be on your mini quiz at the end of class tomorrow, so please make sure you look back at it. You can also use it for your work today. Please put it into your notes section.